Ladies and gentlemen, I'm KageKaze, and today we're taking a look at the recently released Final Fantasy XIV character creator. Yeah, it doesn't sound too interesting, does it? The character creator. Well, the problem is I have participated in some of the closed beta for Final Fantasy XIV, and Final Fantasy XIV's beta has gone through a very interesting NDA. We were not allowed to take video, and we were not allowed to record the audio. We are allowed to talk about our experiences and everything related to what we played, and we were even allowed to take screenshots. So, what is video but a series of screenshots, right? Well, unfortunately, me and my infinite wisdom didn't think to really record anything or take a bunch of screenshots as I was playing. I had limited time, so I was more focused on getting a feel for the game and how it played, and I'm going to want to talk about that, and so consider this kind of my announcement that I will be participating in Final Fantasy XIV when it releases. For those of you who may have tried Final Fantasy XIV for its initial release, this is a re-release of 14. Final Fantasy came out a few years ago, and it was met with very critical reception. I tried the beta back then, too, and I was not impressed. I am a Final Fantasy junkie. I love most of the Final Fantasy games. And I played a ton of Final Fantasy XI. And I was hoping that 14 might recapture that. I was thinking about it, maybe would I go back to Final Fantasy XI, but then I thought in my head, nah, the systems were kind of clunky, it was still a good game, but I've played newer games that are a bit easier to get into, and I didn't really want to get back into that clunkiness, so I'm like, well, maybe 14 would be a really great way of getting that feeling. And unfortunately, I just was not impressed with the beta, and I just didn't really give it another shot. I figured, well, it might be a decent game, but I wasn't going to play it. Then I find out that there was a ton of critical reception and that many of the systems were just horribly designed, and some of their decisions that they made to prevent things like real money transactions inhibited players on a base level. And there were people that did love the game, but overall the game was considered not good. Kind of a failure, if you will. And so the director was eventually replaced by a gentleman who goes by Yoshi P. And they started doing better, making great strides into the game. And Yoshi P and his team decided, you know what, we want to do more. So they took the game and overhauled it completely, and that is what A Realm Reborn is. They've basically told the story that in Final Fantasy XIV, the world met a cataclysm. Sounds familiar, right? And the entire world's been reborn around that. And this is essentially, if you've ever played the old game, forget what you know about Final Fantasy XIV. It is different now. This might as well be a whole new game. They could have branded it Final Fantasy XIV 2. The only thing is that it is in the same world, and a lot of the maps will seem familiar to some veterans, but a lot of the systems are different. So I will be making content for 14 when it comes out. For now, I'd like to take a look at the character creator and show you part of the reasons why I'm already impressed. And then what I'll do is I'll show you the benchmark utility, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I saw in the game as I got to play it and some of the systems that I'm learning about. So first and foremost, what this is a benchmark utility, but it also includes a character creator. This is the default character that shows up in the benchmark video. This allows you to make a character before the game comes out, and you can save that character data and import it into the game. So you basically, right now, can go download the benchmark, make a character, and save yourself several hours, if you're like me, of game time of where you're just trying to figure out how to make a character, what you want your character to be like. You'll still have to choose your job, because in this video, or in this creator, unfortunately, you can only see a paladin. But you can at least still make your character's defining look. You just can't see what the other jobs are and what kind of gear you'll be wearing. So to kind of show off what you can do with this, I'm just going to bring up here this, I call them Gulka, but they're, I forget what they're called. Yeah, the races are the same from Final Fantasy XI, they're just called different things. But what's interesting here so far is you can see what your artifact gear is. An artifact is basically your defining class. So in this case, this character would be a paladin. This is what they think a paladin should look like. This is his defining look. And every class or job is going to have that. You can also see what your race-specific gear for your character will look like. So if you want to go around looking like the standard type of character in the world, you can do that. But they also show you, as you're going along, what your tiers of gear will look like. So do you want to see what you'll look like at level 20? Well, there you go. This is kind of how your character, your paladin, is going to look at level 20. Here's how it'll look at level 30. So you can get a feel for what the armor sets for your class are. So maybe you want to pick a class based on how he looks. You can see as you progress what you're going to look like. And there's a paladin at 40. You can see moving on into the plate. And then at level 50, you are just a massive tin can. I think that's cool that they do that they show you the progression. There's also this. Don't ask me why, I don't know. So I think that's really cool. But there's also a lot of features and customization to this game. When it comes to creating a character, I've seen games with tons of sliders. But even though this game doesn't have near as many sliders or options as things like maybe Neverwinter, I think it actually makes things a little more interesting as far as character creation is concerned. So let's go ahead and create a new character, and what I'll show you here is this is what I mean by save your data. You can save different slots, and you can import it into this, or you can import it into the main game. Now keep in mind there is going to be an open beta, and beta version characters that you create will also be saved. That's why I have this. I have a Highlander that I made in the beta, and I can load it here and then eventually import it into the full game. But we're going to make a whole new character. We can see the 5 races. We have Hyr, which are basically humans. They were known as Humes in 11. Elezen, which were the Elvon in Final Fantasy 11. So basic elves. You have male and female of all the classes, or all the races. And this is unique to this, by the way. In 11, humans, elves, and the Lalafell, or Tarutaru as they were known in 11, were the only classes that had a male and female counterpart. The Mikote, or Mithra as they were once known, were a female-only race in 11. This is kind of your cat race. You do have the male, and of course you do have the female versions. And then the Rogadin, which were the Gulka, were a male-only race. So it's kind of interesting to see the opposite gender in the world now. So I'll show you the male version. Nice and tall. So I'm going to start with a basic human, and right away, even when choosing your race, I'd like to point out that there are several options here. You have an environment. You can see the background here. I can change that. I can make it to be basically a field with windmills in the background. I can change the time of day to evening. So if you wanted to make a character and just kind of see what they would look like across different environments, you can. It's not even anything super special. It's not even anything that is game-changing, but I think it's kind of cool that they included this. Do you want to see your character across different backdrops? Well, here you can. Now in the full game, when you choose a job, you'll be able to choose this little job button here, which will show you like the artifact armor that I had in the beginning. It's not enabled in this because the job selection is not available, but that will be there. You can even turn off the main clothing if you so desire. And you can, instead of just standing there, tell it to use unique poses, and so your character will move about. They'll just kind of do various poses. So I've also got, what else do we have? We have, it looks like a forest. And of course we can again change to midday so we can see the lighting effects. Just looking at this, I can tell you, and from what I've played, the game looks very good to me. It's got a great feel to it. They've really overhauled the graphic engine from when it first came out, and so a lot of the shading, lighting, particle effects, things like that really look much better than what they were when Final Fantasy XIV first came out. So I think you can kind of see, so there's, honestly, it's a very nice looking world, and the character models are not that bad either, I think. So what you're watching right now is pretty much a repeat of the last benchmark tool that came out a little while ago. There is a world benchmark tool, and this is the character creator benchmark tool. The video is exactly the same. The difference is that the character creator one has, of course, the built-in character creator, but your character will also show up in the video after you've created him. So if you want to see these sequences and see what your character would look like in action, that's really what this is for. So let's talk a little bit about the game, because this game has impressed me, and I didn't think it would, especially after the first beta I tried for it, and I came in with kind of low expectations, and maybe that's why I'm kind of impressed. In the world, so you don't need to make alts if you want to try a different class. You just go find the class trainer and become that class, and then the progress for your current class is put on hold, if you will, until you come back to it, which is a system I really like. Now, they still allow you to make alts, though, which 11 did, but you had to pay for each additional slot. With 14, that system will kind of be in place. What'll happen is you'll have a subscription fee for this game, and if you pay the lowest subscription fee, you get 1 character per server. So you can make alts on different servers. If you want to make alts on the same server, you're going to go from something like, I think, 13 a month to 15 a month. But if you pay in advance, like pay, I think, in 5 to 6 month periods, you can bring it back down to the 12 a month. You just have to pay it in a chunk. That gives you like 8 characters on a server. So the good news is you don't have to do that, but if you feel compelled to, you can. It's just a little bit more. Not too much, depending upon how much you want to pay in advance. Alright, now as for this is the class, and you do get a different look based on your class. And the main difference between the two will be this. You'll see starting attributes. So yes, you will have changes in what will be most effective to you. So min-maxers are going to want to pay attention to this. For example, Midlander has a decent amount of strength and vitality at 21 and 20, but if we look at the Highlander, they've got 23 strength and 22 vitality. Opposingly, though, the Highlander has 18 intelligence and 17 piety, whereas the Midlander has 21 intelligence, 21 piety. So the Midlander is going to make a better caster. The Highlander is going to make a better physical character in DPS. Now, even though this will affect you if you're a min-maxer, please keep in mind, again, you can be every class, and that the differences in the stat points are at most, I believe, 5 points. And that's not a scaling system. It's not like you're going to be off by 5 points at level 1, and then at max level, which I believe is 50, be off by 30. No, it's going to be 5 points, which means you're probably looking at a very, very tiny difference between them. It was much more pronounced in Final Fantasy XI, where they even limited magic points and things like that based on your race. So you can be whatever you want, and you should be only marginally more or less effective than someone else that chose to min-max. Now, here are all the options you have, and there, as I said, there are a lot of them. You can go through basic height, muscle tone, so if I put him in his small clothes here and just turn this down, you can kind of maybe see the subtle difference. It's turned all the way up. There it is. Not too, you don't get too ripped, at least. So, you know, there's that. Skin tone. Yes, all sorts of skin tone options for your character. Do you want to be albino-ish? You can. Do you want to be dark? You can. Hairstyles. So you get several predefined hairstyles, and this will change. Keep in mind, hairstyles, things like this, will change based on if you are a Midlander or a Highlander. So other races, if you choose to be a different clan, you might want to choose your clan based on the looks, because you will get very different styles of hair and features based on what your clan is. I'm going to stop him from moving. Now, unfortunately, me being a guy that likes to make a character to mimic myself in just a little bit, I like to have a nice beard, and unfortunately, I'm going to say that if there's one thing that Final Fantasy XIV has disappointed me in, it lacks beardliness. Alright, so here's where it starts to get real interesting when it comes to character creation. Now, you've seen in other games where you can kind of have hairstyles and then hair colors, right? Make whatever you want. Well, not only do you have hair colors, like let's say I want to make kind of my hair green here, you also have this little button here, and I think this is new, I don't remember this in beta, but you can also choose highlights. So here I can make my hair one color and highlight it with another and kind of give myself that own unique look. And you can see here it carries across each of the hairstyles, so you can see what it will do to you for each one. So having multicolored hair and things like that, again, a minor touch, but it's still one of those little things that's going to make you uniquely you. I mean, let's face it, when it comes to facial features and things like that, body tone and height, those are minor changes, and you don't often see the difference unless you're looking next to someone that picked the maximum height next to someone with the minimum height. Things like hair, granted, you might have a helmet that covers it up, but in this game, much like any other, you'll have an option to turn off your helm. But since there's a limited number of hairstyles, a lot of people tend to have similar hairstyles, and then they might choose the same color. And this, not only can you choose one, you can choose two colors, and I think that's pretty cool. So you can have something that is easily seen by someone else that makes you a little bit different. Now, here's something that might throw you a little off, and it did throw me off. When you go into faces, you've got several different face options, but these face options change more than just the face itself. It will change what features you have available in the next menus. So whatever face I choose is going to give me different types of scarring and things like that. It will even, I'm going to go on now to facial features. It's way down the line here, so unfortunately you won't see it right away. See, I didn't even know that the Midlanders had beards, but apparently they do. I can turn it on right here. So I might remake my character now that I know this, but that's just it. I have all these facial features, like I have this beard, I have a scar across my nose, across my eye, across my cheek. These things you can turn on and off, but if you change faces to this guy, for example, the hipster, you'll see that his beard and mustache are quite different from the other, and even his scarring is a little bit different. One's more closer to the mouth. So when you're creating your character, you're going to have to keep that in mind, that you're going to probably spend a lot of time here to get an exact look, because you're going to have very, very different styles of face and jaw and things like that. So let's since I talked about having beardliness, let's get the beardliness. And as you can see, those options were not on by default. So keep that in mind when you're making this. So different jaws, you have 4 types. Now there is not a picture associated with these, but as you can see, if I mouse over it, there's slight differences in the jawbone structure. Eye shape. So there's an absurd amount of options here. I could get lost in these. These I really don't care about. And this is kind of interesting, kind of silly. I don't know why you would ever notice this, but you can choose to have small or large irises. So if you prefer smaller, more realistic, or larger, more anime-esque, and they're not even that large compared to anime, to be honest with you. Here's another feature, though, that impressed me because it's small, it's silly, but it can make your character uniquely you. You can create an eye color, right? Seems kind of standard, right? Let's say I want green eyes to match my hair. I can have odd eyes. You might know this as Heterochromia. Basically, the ability to have one eye be a completely different color than the other. I've not seen this kind of option in a role-playing game before, and what you can do by that, even if you wanted to, make it look like the other eye is blind. I mean, you could certainly do that. I've seen that in a few other games, but this game actually lets you choose not only that, but to have different colors. So if I wanted to have, a yellow eye as well as the blue, I can. If I wanted to have it, be red or something like that, I can do that. So it's just little things that make this kind of unique that impress me, and it makes me feel like they put a lot of effort into making this game right, and that's just in the character creator. I haven't even gotten into what about the game has really impressed me either. You can choose between dark, light, or no lip coloring here. I do like the fact that the character creator shows you what your previous color was as well as your current. So if I choose, if I'm looking through the colors right now, it will show me what the current color is. Facial features, I already covered that since I went over those. You do have some tattoos. Again, this will be race, and you can't really see it that way well because of the hair, but this will be race, and I believe clan specific. The tattoos might not be clan specific. They are probably more race. You can choose the color for the tattoo. There are several face coloring options, so you can have a little blusher on your eyes if you so desired. You can even have the little blush stamps if you want. All sorts of tattoos. You can reverse the tattoo, so if I wanted the butterfly, I could put it on the other cheek. You can be bald and get the monk dots if you so desire. All sorts of options. Face paint. You can be a Highlander if you want. You just change the face paint color. Where's my blue? Whatever, I'll do that. They'll never take our freedom. Anything. You want to have a mark across the eyes, it's there. Now, you can't move it around, unfortunately, so it doesn't have full customizability. But there's really a lot of options here. And ultimately, you can even choose your voice. They are presets. Your character will not speak, but you will get kind of symbolish kind of things, and you can even listen to the emotions. I chose my character's voice because of the laugh. So each of these, as you see, different. You can get the different emotes to see how your character is going to sound. So maybe you get a cheer that you like, but you don't like the way he sounds when he's disappointed. Like for me, I chose the deep laugh. It might be different for the Highlander, though. I think it is. Oh, interesting. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's find out, and we can hear the laughs be a little bit different. So the voice, I have voice 7.
Yeah.
Nope, there it is, type 7. Yeah. So there you go. That right there shows you that you also get different voice options for what clan you pick. So there are a ton of options for you to be able to make a character very different from other characters, even if it's in just subtle ways. And I really like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the benchmark utility, and you'll see that not only can you make this character, you can choose the look that you want from your character, and they will show up in the benchmark video. So if I choose my Highlander here, which I chose because of the epic Beardly-ness, obviously, and I can choose whatever gear I wanted to, so he can show up as a paladin. I can show him in this. I think I do like that gear. I think I'll choose that one. I'm not going to choose the other. Let's do the level 30 gear. And so what I'll do is I'll play the video, and you'll see there's my character riding in front of everyone else.